Salamanders are an incredible group of animals with a unique lifestyle, a crucial ecological role, and fascinating abilities found in few other organisms. Among these abilities include a remarkable capacity for regeneration. Salamanders and other creatures can regrow damaged limbs, taking a maimed or amputated hand or foot or tail and healing themselves, restoring themselves to their previous state, equipped once more with a fully functioning limb. Humans do not have this ability. We cannot regrow our limbs. It's something of a tragedy, too, because humans lose their limbs in accidents, like car crashes, or from violence, like soldiers being wounded on the battlefield. And because losing a limb can be a major, life-altering event, there's been much effort put into researching how to regrow limbs, or at least how to improve the human body's natural capacity for regeneration, limited as it may be. At best, we've found that children can regrow their fingertips, but this can only happen if the fingertip is lost early in childhood, and if the wound is treated correctly. Progress in this field has been slow, as it remains a stubbornly difficult enigma. We haven't yet unlocked any, if it even exists, any potential innate regenerative capacity in the human genome. Although a new study from the Institute of Duke Health and published in the journal Science Advances has made a critical discovery that could open the door to more advanced treatments in the near future. So, the researchers explain in their paper that newly created proteins, like those that have just been freshly expressed in tissue undergoing a healing process, these new proteins don't really have what are called amino acid conversions. You see, proteins are made of amino acids, and a conversion occurs when one of these building blocks, one of these amino acids within the greater polypeptide structure, is structurally altered, turning it into a different amino acid and changing the overall protein. New proteins have few, if any, amino acid conversions, while older proteins tend to have more. They accumulate them as they age. By measuring the number of amino acid conversions in, for example, collagen, the researchers could determine the age of certain types of tissue. Specifically, they looked at cartilage, which is the stiff, rubbery tissue between your joints, protecting the ends of your bones from grinding together. If you didn't have cartilage, your joints would hurt all the time. The research team found that cartilage in the wrists and the ankles tended to be relatively young, while cartilage in the knees and elbows tended to be middle-aged, and cartilage in the shoulders and hips tended to be old. The age of the proteins doesn't correspond to the age of the person, because obviously the person only has one age, but all of these different cartilage sites have a so-called different age. So what this means, what the age of the proteins means, in the context of this study, is that it corresponds to the natural rate of healing, where younger cartilage tends to heal faster and more often than older cartilage. So if you were to sample some of the younger cartilage in your wrists or ankles, chances are you would get some freshly created collagen. Whereas if you sampled some cartilage in your hip or your shoulder, that doesn't regenerate as often or as frequently, and so you're more likely to find some older proteins, some older collagen. The researchers were also able to discover that this healing process is influenced not just by the age of the proteins, but also by the presence of other molecules called microRNA. MicroRNA are small bits of RNA that play a regulatory role in various processes, including tissue regeneration. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating, because microRNA is really active in animals like salamanders, zebrafish, axolotl, and other animals with powerful regenerative abilities. In these creatures, their regenerative processes are also influenced by the position in the body, much like with humans. The ankles and the wrists of a salamander will heal the fastest, while hips and shoulders will heal the slowest. These creatures just have a greater overall regenerative capacity that lets them regrow entire limbs. To quote the press release from Duke Health, the researchers say, quote, cartilage in human joints can repair itself through a process similar to that used by creatures such as salamanders and zebrafish to regenerate limbs." Unquote. Professor and co-author of the study, Ming-Feng Sue, said, quote, "We were excited to learn that the regulators of regeneration in the salamander limb appear to also be the controllers of joint tissue repair in the human limb. We call it our inner salamander capacity." Unquote. Alright, well this is really cool, because it suggests that this healing process is not some uniquely derived process, but instead that humans and animals like salamanders actually share a homologous healing process. It's just that in humans, for whatever reason or reasons, this process has been stripped down to the bare essentials and downregulated to the point where we can only regenerate relatively minor tissue damage, like scratches and abrasions and small punctures. Anything larger, and instead of a full tissue regeneration, we have the development of scar tissue. And when it comes to replacing entire limbs, we just can't do it. Our natural biological capacity does not include the ability to regrow entire limbs. Now, I want to close out this segment with a quote from Dr. Virginia Byers-Krause. She's a professor in the medicine, pathology, and orthopedic surgery departments at Duke University, and she was the senior author of this study. So as I read you her quote, I want you to think about the immense potential that this discovery has, and the doors that it opens for future regenerative medicine. Dr. Krause said, quote, "We believe that an understanding of this salamander-like regenerative capacity in humans and the critically missing components of this regulatory circuit could provide the foundation for new approaches to repair joint tissues and possibly whole human limbs. We believe we could boost these regulators to fully regenerate degenerated cartilage of an arthritic joint. If we can figure out what regulators we are missing compared with salamanders, we might even be able to add the missing components back and develop a way, someday, to regenerate part or all of an injured human limb. We believe this is a fundamental mechanism of repair that could be applied to many tissues, not just cartilage." Unquote. Now, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of potential there. If you'll humor my optimism, it's almost like that eureka moment, where this is the key discovery, and everything after this, everything that's built off of this discovery, will eventually lead us to a medical future where we can indeed regrow human limbs.